Hello everyone, welcome to American TESOL Presents Free Friday webinars. Every Friday, 4 p.m. EST, you will find these webinars and you can invite a friend, and we usually talk about different things specifically related to language teaching, but a lot of these tools can be used for various ages and different levels of speaking, and they're also really good for general classroom education as well. Today we're going to talk about cool digital presentation tools and also the methodology and instructional practices with them. Now, there are many tools that you don't need to use online. The ones I'm going to show you today are online, but there are some that come with a computer that are great that you can use offline. I have a Mac. I love my Mac. And one of the things that I love are all the great presentation tools you have. So I personally have Keynote. I love Keynote, and Keynote has this fantastic app. It's way better than the PowerPoint app, and it's way cheaper. It's only 99 cents, and it works as a remote. And Keynote is a lot like PowerPoint. You can save things as PDFs, and it's just really just a great, fantastic tool with lots of fantastic transitions, and it allows you to save your presentations as videos with the transitions. And so it comes out as a very nice video, and I can show you that later. But I do want to show you the Keynote app, if I can get that for you really quick, because I always like to show the technology behind these things as well. This is what the Keynote Remote looks like, just a little app. And then when I do it and I link to Keynote, it'll show me the notes, and that's the part that I love. It shows me the slides and the notes. So I can actually, and it acts like a remote, so I can actually slide my slides and read off of the slides if I need to as well. It's fantastic. There's Audio Band, there's iMovie, iMovie Maker, there's for you to manipulate photos, and all of these are fantastic when you're doing online presentations as well, because you will need to do, your students will need to be able to be on the computer and edit their images. They're going to want to add music. They're going to want to make transitions so they can make really cool presentations and even movies. On Windows computer, you have Paintbrush. It's a little bit more difficult to use than iPhoto, but it still works. Windows Movie Maker, one of the best free apps that comes with the computer usually, that really helps you to have transitions and stuff. I do like Windows Movie Maker quite a bit, and students find it really easy to use. And you can download Audacity for sound control. So these are some of the things that come with the computer. It's very important to have presentation skills. Jerry Seinfeld said that at a funeral, the number one fear of people statistically is public speaking, and the number 2 is death. So Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian, said that at a funeral, most of the people would rather be the ones in the casket than giving the eulogy. And I think that's, he said that in humor, but when you talk to most people, they're really afraid of giving presentations. But most businesses and most really successful companies and things like this, you're constantly having to present yourself. Your students have to present themselves at interviews. They have to be able to sell their message. This is very important. So, and it's also a very important part of communication. If you can't communicate your message across, then it doesn't really matter the language skills if you're not still putting the message across. So I think this is really important for students. As we get more digital, more online, it's going to be very important to use these different types of presentations for the students as their resume portfolios. So the ones I'm going to talk about today, there's thousands of presentation apps, but these are the ones that I think are most powerful, and they're free. Voicethread, Vuvox, Prezi, Gloucester, and AuthorStream. Out of all of them, I'm going to say the Voicethread and Gloucester are probably the easiest to use. So is AuthorStream. Vuvox and Prezi are a little bit more difficult, and even Voicethread can be difficult. So I'm going to show you what each of them do. I'm going to show you some examples of their potential and what students can do with them. They work for all sorts of types of presentations. What I used to like to do, I used to teach high school students, about 70 of them, from countries, probably about 15 to 20 different countries. And so their English levels was from beginners all the way to advanced. And we had mixed abilities. And they would do things like poetry units. So this was, or sometimes they would do essays, sometimes they would do long types of research and things like that. So for pretty much every project, every type of research, I would have them not only write, but also I would have them do presentations as well. So I'm going to show you really quick what Voicethread looks like. I'm pretty sure many of you have probably seen it before, but I'll go through it in just a second. I love Voicethread. Many of you may have heard of it, but the reason I like it is because it's collaborative. You see the girl here, and let me make this a little bit bigger. You can have an avatar. You don't have to have your name. You don't even have to have your picture, but you can if you want. You can upload things in the middle, and then students can do really cool things like they can doodle on it, so they can pinpoint different things that they really like about the presentation. They can leave video comment, they can leave audio comment, and all of this you can set up as a teacher. So the students don't even have to have their own account really, and you sign up as a Voicethread education account and you get so many options. So I really like Voicethread a lot, and I'll share that with you in a minute what it looks like. But this is kind of an idea of somebody, one of the students did a poetry, and they did the background, and this was the poetry portfolio. And in this particular project that I'll show you later, all the students had a slide with their own poetry. So this was a class collaboration poetry project, which I thought was very interesting. The next one I'm going to show you, one of my favorite tools, is Gloucester Edu. And the reason is because students get so creative with this. This is the easiest of these presentation tools to use. And the reason why it's so easy is because students are already used to poster presentations. The problem with poster presentations, though, is that if you have a poster, and my kids used to do these intricate, beautiful posters. And yes, I could take a picture, but most of the time it was a big problem because they couldn't keep the physical work that they did. Eventually, after several years, I reluctantly had to throw them away because there's not enough room. Eventually, you have to take them off the walls, eventually the next year. So we need a way to preserve them, and the way to preserve them is you can have them online. Gloucester Edu, you can even make it private, and few people can look at it and stuff. But the students love this. They just take off, and they're able to do so many things. They can have crazy fonts. Let me make this one a little bit bigger. They can have their own music. They can have different types of pictures, different themes, and all of this comes as templates as well within Gloucester. So it's not like the student has to design all this. They have choices and they have options, which is really cool. Okay, so the next one, Vuvox. Vuvox is the one I recently found. Vuvox goes in the slides this way. It's sort of like, you know, the iPhone in a way. It just slides and it keeps going, and you can have videos, you can have these really cool transitions, and you have so many options. You can do a collage, and you can embed all the three that I showed you, Vuvox, Voicethread, Gloucester. You can embed all three of them in a wiki page, a website, and they're all free apps. So it's just different ways of presenting and different ways of showing the material and the research that they've already collected. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a sec. For all of them, I'll show you real examples with screen sharing. AuthorStream. The reason I love AuthorStream versus Slideshare, AuthorStream preserves your animations. So with Slideshare, you can upload it, but then you don't really get the voice, or you don't get the music, or you don't get this really cool transitions. And kids love that. And when you're showing something online, it just is cool if the student is able to be able to have the transitions, because I know my students, and that's the way they like it. They like to have cool transitions, and it makes the project and the research and all of that, it's very motivational for them to do it this way. And you can notice the different skills that they're using. They're using their writing skills. They often have to use their speaking skills. They have to choose different types of elements in design. So, and then they can even peer edit with each other. So there's a lot of skills that they use. Prezi. Prezi even has an iPad app. It's not very good or stable right now, but it is free, so you can try it. Prezi allows collaboration, so that's why I have it as well. I would say it's the most difficult to learn. You do have to take a while to use it, and it does take some class time to use it. The other ones will probably take a lot less class time because you have options to speed it up. You have different templates, and Prezi has gotten much better for that. The thing about Prezi, though, is it preserves the link, so you can actually click on any of the links within here and then go to the page. So it's really incredible in that respect. I don't know very many presentation tools online where you can do that, where you can click on the links and kind of go on this journey. But with Prezi, you can go on a journey. You can have video, you can have different types of ways of designing it and choices as well. So when we think of presentation tools, there's many things that we can only have the presentation, okay? Yes, you know, we have the project and things like that, but there are things that we should be teaching our kids as part of the presentations. One of the things that I see is Creative Commons. Many of the students will try to use, for example, music, popular music and things like that they like, but you don't have to do that because you can get into trouble. And I've had some great presentations, some great stop animation movies, some great digital storytelling projects, and they're no longer available online. And the reason is because they used a very popular song or music and they didn't ask for any permission. Creative Commons means that you have the permission to use that music or that image. You can see with this image, this is from one of my favorite places, Flickr. And I give credit at the bottom, 173 Across the Universe by Anna Gray Flickr. Another thing that I do is that I favorite this on my Flickr account. So if people want to see what I've used in Flickr, they can. There's different types of Creative Commons laws, and there's different places to use it. But these are my favorite places. You have Flickr.com for pictures, and Flickr has very high quality pictures. So you can see my Flickr account. It should be Shelly Terrell, so it's pretty easy to find. And then you can add me as a friend and see my favorites. ccmixter.org, the best place that I have seen really high quality, free Creative Commons music that you can use. Both of them are free. You can use the images and you can use the music for free. And the great thing is that you should give credit, and I always give credit when I'm using these. But the great thing is, recently I used this for my podcast, CC Mixter, and I had a really great email from one of the people that I showcased her music, and she said, "Thank you so much for using my music. You're free to use this music and this music." And I just thought, you know, I felt really good. I was promoting a musician out there that had some great music and was willing to share. So I think there's a really good movement with open source, and I think it's just really important, the people you get to meet this way. And it's good for your students to do this as well. Many of your students will be musicians, they'll be artists, and it's good you start teaching them about ways that they can showcase, get their music, get their images out there. Other things to teach. Now, I have a background in this. I took visual rhetoric, and also my minor was in communication, and I did a lot of public speaking and presentations for my bachelor's degree. But these are some of the things that you should be teaching your students when they're creating presentations. It's good for them to use the tool and understand the tool, but these are very important parts of any presentation. It doesn't matter what the tool is. It could be even a PDF that they do. But one thing to know is the organization. How are they going to organize their materials? And through this, you begin to think of the balloons and the higher order thinking skills. And you see that they're using skills such as classifying, categorizing. They should be going through a process, a brainstorming process, using thinking maps, designing their presentations in a smart way, not just throwing it up there and saying, okay, this is my presentation, but get them thinking about the process. Visual elements. How are they going to use their white space? You notice how in a majority of my presentations I use pictures, no bullet points. I don't put a lot of text up there. It's because I understand what it is for my audience to look at a presentation, and that's what your students should think of as well. They should begin to think of it now so they don't get in the bad habits that we tend to. It took a long time for me to learn how to do a very good presentation. And since your students will need to do this for work, and since this will impact them whether they get ahead or not, whether they communicate their messages, whether they get that job in a resume, in the interview, things like that, these are things they should think about. Pre-planning, it takes some time to plan a presentation. And your students should know that it's not just a really quick kind of thing, because presentations are very important. It's very good for them to think of their audience. When you think about communication especially, then if you want to portray a message, if you're teaching language, then your students have to put themselves in the other person's shoes. Nowadays, our audience are all over the world. Today, we have some from the US, we have some from Egypt, we have some from Turkey, we have them from everywhere. So when you design your presentations, you have to take these cultural aspects into consideration, and it's really important and teaches your students to become aware of other cultures, of other genders, of other backgrounds, so they can have an effective communication process. Body language. Body language isn't the same everywhere. I learned while I was giving a presentation in Greece that I can't put all 5 fingers up and show my hand. So this is really, really important things that you learn when you give more presentations. Your vocals, you can slow down. Sometimes I tend not to slow down like I should. I tend to talk very quickly. So you can slow down. You think about pace, high, low, and I'm not talking just about your pitch as well. You can also think about pausing, silence, the power of silence. So these are all things that happen with presentations that, and the good thing about it is if you teach adults, if you can teach them these elements, and especially if your adults are paying you, who are they going to pay more, or who are they going to repeat the classroom more? People who teach them how to be effective in their jobs, that they learn all of this, or the ones that just tell them, oh, here's, you get to use a presentation, or you get to do presentations, or you just learn about the language. Well, they're going to think that you're more valuable because you're teaching them things that they need for their jobs as well. Okay, so this is my wiki, and this is where you can contact me. And now I'm going to screen share the rest of it and show you these projects that I showed you screenshots of. So you'll have to bear with me so I can give you these, so I can show you these different tools in action because they're really cool. Okay, so here's the virtual reality. First thing we're going to do is this Voicethread. Now this is the Voicethread I was showing you. You can see the comment section. You can see this is from a class. The class did, you can see that with each of these are different students. So each of them did their own poem and contributed to this. This is one presentation tool, and it works for class collaboration projects. So if you're doing a class collaboration project, or you have it where students cannot show their face, they have avatars that they can use. They don't have to use their face. When we click on the student, you can hear.
The pitch. You grip the lace and sling your arm back and rocket the ball forward as fast as you can. You hear the sound of the bat swish by your steaming hot fastball. Whoosh, strike 3. The crowd.
So on this one, you see they wrote the poem, and then through a comment, they get to say their poem aloud to their classmates. Now, you can have the element where your class, where your other students come on and they circle with the doodle tool, and it only lasts a few seconds, so it doesn't stay on there. It's not like graffiti. And then they can say, oh, wow, Brad, I really liked how you used onomatopoeia, or you used rhyme here. And then you begin to see how this becomes a really great teaching tool. This is Voicethread. Make sure in all of these you get the educator account. So just don't go for the free account. Go for the education one because you get more options. I'll show you, this is the one that I was showing you about Gloucester. Now this is soap. 3 students did this soap project together. Now this was a chemistry class. They had to invent their own soap, and then they had to make an advertisement.
And making soap from scratch, you must blend the lye water and your heated oils until the soap reaches trace. Trace is a sort of point of no return in the soap making process.
So the great thing about this is they made the advertisement, they created the soap because this was a chemistry class, and they worked there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this group, and this was the presentation tool of the soap. So you have all the elements here. You have realia, you have the speaking, you have the writing, and then on top of that you have something very technical like chemistry. So imagine, you know, a typical teacher would do something like maybe just teach them the different types of ways that formulas go together, but this teacher had them go further. And when you think about it, to students, this is a more innovative way. They're going to remember the formulas. It's real to them. They say, oh, the formulas together make soap. So I think this is a really effective project. This is VooVox. VooVox has different options. You can do this one. The student did it on slavery, and you can see the different pictures created. So I'm going to press play, and you can see how this works out. And in a little while, you're going to see how the video comes as well. So then you can click the video.
A slave, especially under these.
So they got all of these from different types of, they collected this information and they grabbed it from the Library of Congress, and that has Creative Commons materials as well. And see how they made this presentation, and look at all the work that was done. When kids get to use these tools, they put so much work into their presentations, and they really research more, is what I have found. They're really motivated because they want to make a great presentation. They really enjoy using the tools. So VooVox is fantastic. There are even more great VooVox presentations out there, and there's so many different ways you can use it, and all of these you can embed. I want to show you AuthorStream. AuthorStream, it allows you once again to...
My dream destination is Italy. A place that I would love to visit someday is Italy. Since I was a child, I have dreamed of visiting this country. Italy is interesting to me for many reasons. First of all, I'd like to travel there because it has a diversity of beauty.
So you see, they collected pictures. This is meaningful because they talk about a place they want to go. So, and you saw at the beginning there was a transition. Now this one didn't completely use transitions, but it was from a student. And I think it's a really great topic for language learners to explore places they want to go. So they could study about Italy from a textbook, but I think this is a much more enriching way where they collect pictures, where they have to write a paragraph, and then they do this presentation where they speak about it, and it's publishable, and they can put it on a blog or a wiki. This is Prezi, so this is the last one that I will show you. And like I said, Prezi has gotten more, it's got an iPad app now. More than one person can collaborate on a Prezi project. You can use it offline. So that's really fantastic about Prezi. And then you can also embed videos, links. It does take a little bit longer in class to use, so your students will need a little bit more time to use Prezi, but they'll make great presentations that are very clickable. This one was about Muslims in the peninsula, and I try to show only the student accounts. So they click on the arrows, Now this is already embeddable. You can tell how I'm using it from the website. They can add different types of arrows. This is a student project. Now, if the person wants, your audience has choices as well. Your audience can look closer, or they can see the whole entire thing far apart. So let's say I want to check out the video because I'm a little bit bored. That's fine, then I can check out the video.
It will forever shape the future of the Landalus.
So you can see how Prezi is really fantastic. It also allows for your audience to have a huge choice in how they want to view the material. So that's also really a very good thing about Prezi, that it allows more for audience interaction than the other ones do. Okay, so I'm going to go back to sharing the document so you can see where the things are. I hope you learned about new documents here, a new presentation tools, and just to think about the way that we teach presentation as a skill. Presentation is really important to language. Not only do students get to have the opportunity to practice a language skill, but they get to practice a speech. They get to prepare it. They get to prepare this message, and they really get the time to be able to speak the language perfectly if they choose to, if they put enough effort into it. So this is a big moment for our students. In instant communication, they don't have those opportunities. So it's going to be rare when they have the opportunities to do this. But I know that for many of my students, especially my adult students, they really get so excited when they can go to their work field and their careers, and they can use these things that we have learned in class and that they've had to use in class, and they use it at work, and they're so excited when they come back and they said, yay, it worked. My boss was impressed. They loved my English, and they loved the presentation and the way I presented it. So when your students can do that, then they really get to own their learning, and they're just really motivated to do more and more and more. So any questions? If you have any questions, you do have access to the microphone. If not, this is only 30 minutes. So we'll be ending very shortly. Or do you have any presentation tools that you particularly like? This is only 30 minutes, so I only showed those. There is going to be a presentation in the future that I do on doing Pachachkas. Well, I never pronounced that right, and Prestos, because I think those are great presentation activities, but just not for this one. And next week, I'm going to see some of you. Ezra, I think Oscar was here earlier. I'll see you in Istanbul. Okay, I got
Just wanted to ask you, Shay, approximately how old were the students who created, let's say, the Vuvox collage that we saw?
Oh, that's a great question. For the Vuvox, they were a little bit younger. They were 7th grade, which is about 13, 14. With the Gloucester, they were in high school. The other students were in high school as well.
Thank you, yeah. Well, that's impressive.
Yeah, I think, you know, the younger the kids get to use it, because I've seen even first graders. I personally have not had my first graders use these tools, but I've seen first graders do some interesting presentations, and I thought, wow, that was just amazing. So you never know. And I think that if you know about presentation tips, that's always really good for students as well. It really helps with different things too if you're a language teacher. For example, my speech and debate coach, I used to have a slur problem, and I couldn't pronounce things very well, like chair and different things like that. So I used to have to give speeches with a marker, and I wouldn't project, so I would have to take a big fat marker, and I would have to give presentations this way. And I would have to stand in a garbage can so I wouldn't move my legs. And I would have to keep my hands by my side so I wouldn't move my hands. So this really helped me a lot, actually, with giving presentations. And for some of these, I use it with my students, and they really enjoy getting to learn these kind of cool little tricks to help them with their pronunciation, their enunciation, with different things like that. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. So here's some Gloucester Edu examples for elementary through high school students. Oh, fantastic. Very cool. Well, thank you so much again for coming, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the virtual roundtable conference, and we will see you next Friday for another webinar, and this webinar will be, let's see, let me check. Sorry about that. I think it's going to be about finger plays for young learners. I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be about. And we'll see how to digitalize those too, how to create them to where they're online and you can use online material and get the parents involved, because I always think that with things like that, it's really exciting and wonderful to get the parents involved. So Finger Plays for Young Learners is on April the 1st, and no, that's not an April Fool.